Hey guys, how are we going today? Hope you're all having a lovely day. I'm back to do a review of my 2021 inventory. I have been through all of my spreadsheets that I have online. Actually, no, not online, on my computer. I'm having a bad day today. So I went through all of my spreadsheets. I sat it for hours looking through because the numbers just weren't adding up and I couldn't figure out what was going on until I went through basically section by section, category by category, and even then there were a few things that just weren't adding up. So I am going to go through all of my list of my items. So how many items I had to start with, how many items I had to finish, the start value, end value, finished value, and out of that a breakdown of what I used, what I decluttered, and what was expired. So I have my makeup, hair, skincare, and body, and then a total of all three. So let's jump right in. Makeup was definitely the biggest challenge area for 2021. I used bugger all, bought heaps. So I started out with 159 items. I finished with 240, roughly. So this was also taking into account items that I decluttered in my declutter video because I'm, not starting this year with them there. So they're gone, they're finished, they're done. They were part of this declutter. Now I do say that I finished with 240-ish because there were a few areas that throughout the year I had changed and they just weren't adding up. And I know exactly what it was that has caused it. It is my highlighters and my eyeshadows. And with the eyeshadows in particular, the singles have buggered everything up. So last year, the start of the year, I was counting all of the singles that I had in one of my big palettes, and I'd pull it up at the moment, but I've got a whole bunch of crap on top of it. And what happened throughout part of the year was I depotted a few palettes and kept some of the singles. And then basically, I adjusted the numbers so that it showed I had more singles than I did palettes. Took the number of palettes out, kept the number of singles that I was keeping. But then I think it was around the time when I had my ColourPop haul, I also decluttered some of the depotted shadows. And I think that that's where the numbers haven't added up because I did end up with a few ColourPop singles and a few, ColourPop glitters and the cream shadows and Super Shock shadows, and it's just somewhere along the lines it just got mixed up. So what I've done is I've scrapped all of my singles, basically any singles that I have and any that I've added to little magnetic palettes. I'm not counting except for my 2 ColourPop BYO palettes because they will always have the same number of singles in them. So I used or got rid of 52 items of makeup last year, but I'm actually going to count 53 because there was another one that I have pulled up today that is going bad. So I haven't used it. She's effectively going in my declutter video, but I've already filmed that, so I can't put that in there. And I brought in 96 items. But I don't know if that 96 is correct. I think it is. I'm pretty sure that's, 96 individual items, not taking into account single pans and whatnot. But that's where the numbers kind of get skewed. So out of, I think I had 3 eyeshadow palettes that I depotted, each one of them had 15 eyeshadows in it, and I think I got rid of about 6 from each one. But yeah, then throughout the year, you know, more of those have kind of disappeared, but it makes it seem like of those 96 items, some of them were the individual shades from those palettes, which I don't know if they are or if they're not. I'm not sure. It's just so difficult to kind of track that. And there are also a few items that I did declutter. So there were definitely a couple that I had bought last year, like the palettes that I had gotten in my Colourpop haul, that I have now gotten rid of all of these as well. So not only do these count as an in, but they also count as an out. And you know, I had quite a few little things that were like that the numbers just aren't right. So I've decided the best way to start this year is just to count the ins and outs, the full makeups. You know, I don't have any other sets of anything, but the best way to do everything is just not include single pans. The start value I had was $2,197.05, which I was shocked about, and I was determined last year to use more products than I bought in. That didn't happen, but I thought that's really excessive. I don't want to go any higher than 2,000 by the end of the year. Definitely didn't happen. I had a total value of $1,714.24 come in just for makeup, which is ridiculous. I'm one person, I have one face, and I wasn't going anywhere last year. For 3 or 4 months we were in lockdown, and that's just ridiculous. I know at least probably $600 of that $1,700 figure was in the last 2 months of the year as well. So that to me is horrifying. Now, with all of the ins and outs, I used $170, roughly $9 of makeup this year. So I have essentially only used 10% of the makeup that I bought, or the value for last year. I had $198 expire, which is even worse. That's more than the makeup that I used. And I decluttered over $310 worth of makeup. So for the total for last year, I had $690-ish worth of makeup leave my life. Probably $695-ish, compared to a $170 spend. So roughly about a third of the price of the makeup that I spent, I got rid of. And only about less than $180 worth of that I actually used. So hence the reason I'm doing a no-buy this year. It's just ridiculous. I'm not a big YouTuber. I think I have less than 20 subscribers, but I need to hold myself accountable for this. So the final figures is that I ended up with $3,223.22 worth of makeup. Now I have gone through and I've readjusted a few things. So when I film my 2022 end of the year inventory, that number will be slightly different because I probably have about maybe $60 worth of single eyeshadows, or not even single eyeshadows, but the loose ones in my magnetic palettes. My big areas this year were eyeshadow palettes and eyeshadows in general. So I bought 22 eyeshadow palettes this year, and that is including, you know, these little ones and a couple of Charlotte Tilbury ones that I have. Yeah, so I have 22 of these, not just these, but 22 eyeshadow palettes in general this year, of which 6 I have depotted. Is that meant to say depotted or decluttered? I don't know. Or maybe I decluttered 6 in general. I don't know. I depotted all 3 of these that I did have. Where's the third one? Here it is. So I had 3 of these. I depotted them. I did keep a couple of the eyeshadows in there. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it is meant to say depotted because I depotted these and 3 others. And the total of those 22 eyeshadow palettes came to just over $475. And I have 2 eyes and they take up this much space on my head. It's a little bit much for me. I did also have 22 single eyeshadows come into my life as well. Now that does also include things like stick shadows and pot shadows. I think with the Charlotte Tilbury ones, I had a few of those. So I ended up with about 3 of the pot shadows and 5 of the stick shadows. So there were a few others as well that came along. So of that, I spent $400 and just over $56 on single eyeshadows. So roughly out of that, there's $900 on eyeshadows this year. That doesn't seem right. Something's not right. Something's not adding up with my numbers this year. See, it's the single eyeshadows that are stuffing me up. Or that could possibly be that, you know, towards the end of this year, I have 22 palettes and I have 22 singles, which makes a bit more sense the way I'm looking at things. So it's like just saying that the biggest areas of what I own is this, and that makes more sense. So if I've got, you know, almost $900 worth of eyeshadow out of $3,000 collection, that makes a bit more sense to me. I also have 6 blushes this year, which I didn't intend on buying that much blush this year, but I did. I do. Do I have, or did I buy? I bought 6 blushes this year. So that's a big increase, considering I'm not particularly a blushy person. But I suppose this year I have been more blushy than I have been highlightery. I think it was roughly $60 on blush this year. I had one highlighter come in and I absolutely love it. It's my favorite highlighter of this year, and it's the Super Shock in Flexitarian. Love it. Absolutely love it, love it, love it. So I had one highlighter come in and I decluttered 6, which I'm glad for because those 6 I don't use. And I've got potentially one more I'm looking at getting rid of because it's just not happening. Lips was another big year for me. I had 10 lipsticks come in, 3 glosses, 5 balms, and 3 pencils. Now it's the pencils that shock me because I don't really use lip pencils. Like, why am I buying shit that I know I don't use? Because it's pretty and it makes me feel good. So, and this is the part that kind of I need to do a no buy, is that I spent $433.28 on lipsticks and glosses and balms and pencils this year. So that is my end of 2021 makeup inventory. The numbers will be a little bit different next year, as I mentioned, and with makeup I'm definitely looking at cutting back. Hair care items, I'm actually hair care, skincare and body care, I am really proud of myself for, because I definitely ended the year with less than what I started with. Hair care, I started with 61 items and I ended with 43. I didn't actually count how many in and how many out this year because the spreadsheet that I usually track each one month by month and what comes in and what goes out. And when I was copying everything over onto the master 2021 spreadsheet, for some reason the hair one disappeared, and I had already deleted all the information from the spreadsheet and updated the start numbers before I realized, and I went back to try and save it, but it was already gone. But I'm definitely happy with the values for the in and out and my decluttered and expired numbers for all skincare, hair care and body care. To start with, I had $585 worth of hair care, roughly. From now on, I'm just going to do roughlies and no senses because it's just sense. It's just too confusing for me. So, I spent $110 on hair products. I used $242 worth of hair care, which I'm so happy about. I decluttered about $38 worth of products and 45 had expired. So those were the items that were in my declutter video. That majority of them were like ones that I'd only spent a little bit on each product and I've just had it hanging around for years. So really happy. My value for this one is I used $325, I had $325 worth of makeup go out. I've ended with $370. So aside from spending, $110 on product, I basically used half of everything that I had. And that $110, most of that was on things like shampoo and conditioner, just, replacements throughout the year, and a couple of styling products at the end of the year. So my final value for that one, I don't know if I just said it, was $370. So happy with that figure and happy to only be going with 43 products at the start of this year. Skincare, I started with 50 items, but I ended with 44. So I'm down a total of 6 items. I had 48 products come in and 54 go out. So pretty much anything that I had to start with, well, most of the stuff I had to start with, I worked through. And even some of the newest stuff I bought this year, I worked through as well. There were only a few skincare products that I started the year with that I've actually carried over to this year. So it was roughly worth $565. I spent $350 on skincare this year, but I used $397 worth of skincare. I decluttered about $80 worth, but I didn't have any expire, which I'm really happy about, which means I am getting through all of it. The decluttered ones just didn't work for me. So I did have about $475 worth of skincare leave this year, which I'm really happy about. I did spend a bit on skincare this year, but that's what I've been trying to do, is spend more on skincare than I am on makeup, which hasn't worked. But since I have been spending that much more money on the skincare, I haven't needed to buy many base products makeup wise. It has been mostly fun stuff like eyeshadows and blush and lips and all that jazz. Like I'm seeing the saving there, whereas I could have spent, easily $100 or $200 on foundation this year, but obviously I didn't because I already have heaps there. But I have rarely felt the need to wear foundation. Like, I've put just a little light bit on today, but that's what I want. I want my skin to get to a point where I don't need to use much makeup. I just want to focus on the fun stuff. yes, so ended with roughly $445 of skincare, but you know, still more items out than in, which I'm happy about. Body care products, I started with 63 and I ended with 47. I was going to say 57 then, 47. So that's down 16 items. Hair care was down 18 items, and skincare was down 16 items. So happy with all those numbers. I had 33 body products come in and I went through 49. One issue I found is that moisturizers seem to be the hardest thing for me to get through. I think I went through 2 in the entire year and one of them was already mostly empty. Started with about $860 worth. I spent $280 worth, but I used $280 worth as well, which, you know, kind of does lead me to the fact that I've spent more cheaper body care stuff this year. But a lot of it was little things like, majority of it was all bath products. So bath salts, bath bombs, you know, the little oil bathy pearls, all that kind of stuff. And soaps, shower gels. That was what I mainly went through this year. I pretty much managed to get it down to I could go through a shower gel every 2 to 3 months and a soap every month. So I'm happy with those numbers. If that's what I'm, you know, getting through most of, I'm happy to keep spending on those what I am, but I know that moisturizers, body oils, and perfumes are what I need to work through. I think a lot of the money that I spent on the body products coming in was from perfumes. How many did I get? 2 or 3? I know I spent a big one too. I spent $80 on one perfume, but the rest, I think they were all like maybe $25, stuff like that. But I did have, this isn't just stuff that I've spent, this is also gifted things as well. Decluttered $3 worth of body products, and that was just one moisturizer that I gave to my daughter, and I had about $60 worth of body products expire. So I think that was one moisturizer and a shower gel or something like that, or one perfume, or I can't remember. So roughly $345 was out, and that leaves me with a total of $792.50. So it's a bit iffy. You know, I still used more than what I had come in by about $3, I guess. But you know, it's still, it's a big deal that I had less items than I did to start with. And my main focus this year is going to be on working through the perfumes and the shower gels that I have, because I think even though I've got less than I did last year, I think I've still got about 4 or 5 shower gels, and I've got actually quite a lot of moisturizer. So I want to, you know, my main 3 focus areas. So for my absolute totals for this year, I had a value of $2,458 come in, which is roughly $47 per week. Which I am ashamed of. It horrifies me. There is no way I would look back at everything that I got last year and say, I spent $47 a week on all of this stuff. It seems illogical. I don't see how I did that. I did use a total of $1,099 of products. So that's skincare, hair care, makeup, body care, which I'm pretty happy with. You know, I've used over $1,000 worth of products. I'm cool with that. I decluttered about $430 worth of product, which I'm pretty ashamed of. Although not really, because most of that just didn't work for me. And you know, if it's $400 on product in a year that just didn't work, that I tried and tried and tried and it's just not happening, well, I've learned a few things. And you know, I've got that experience. Now I know what kind of products that I do use and stuff like that. The thing that kind of bugs me a lot is that $304 of my products expired before I could use them all. So I'm definitely going to be more wary of, you know, what products I do get through, what products I don't get through, and try and get through as many this year as I can so that next year I don't go into the year with so much makeup and obviously not buying anything this year if I can help it, aside from, you know, I can think of maybe 3 items that I am going to need to replace. So, and that's mascara, shampoo, conditioner, maybe soap, but I've got shower gels I can get through first. The total amount of products that I had used or decluttered or expired for this year was $1,835, which is roughly $35 a week, with a total difference of $600 and roughly $25. So that's, you know, works out to be a difference of $12 a week between the products that I'm buying and the products that I'm using. So if I think about it, that I've spent $47 worth of products per week, it kind of scares me a little bit. But knowing the fact that I used or decluttered or had expired $35 per week isn't quite as bad. I would prefer it if the decluttered and the expired was way less than that. But, you know, still knowing that I can get through a lot of that, and, you know, I'm really only effectively, you know, wasting that little bit of, you know, the $12 a week, which even though I'm looking at it, so that's roughly $625. There's about $730 that I have both decluttered and expired. So it's pretty much about $15 a week. But still, $15 a week of makeup, hair care products, body care products, skincare products. You know, I don't want to be throwing away $15 a week. That's ridiculous. So those are my numbers. That's my full inventory. Hopefully this year will be a lot better. I don't plan on spending nearly as much. And yeah, I'll just have to wait and see how I go. I don't know if I'm just going to keep this information or not. I'll probably just throw it out because it won't, you know, have anything to do with next year's numbers, and it won't be a fair comparison because I'm not, you know, comparing all those same products. If you have any questions, anything you would like to ask, please feel free to comment down below. But until then, I will see you all next time. Bye.